and welcome to the bags I've sold or given away in 2024 and why. So let's talk about I think there are nine, I should have counted again, 9 or 10 bags that I have sold this year, or like I said, moved on in some fashion. And yeah, let's go over them and talk about why they are no longer in my collection. So I'm going to try to do this in, I guess, maybe chronological order, I think. And the very first bag I sold is the Louis Vuitton Loop Hobo Bag. I think that's what it was called. I'll be obviously putting up pictures here so you guys know what I am talking about. If I have pictures still of me with the bag, I will pop those up. If not, I'll just, put up a stock photo so you know what the bag is that I'm talking about. So I sold this in the very, very beginning of the year before I had my first vlog sale. So, I was a little unsure of whether I wanted to do vlog sales, I've always sold to Fashion File I've sold through Facebook groups, but I don't know, somehow selling on a vlog sale just intimidated me a little bit, and dealing with payments and shipping and all that kind of stuff, I guess, it was a little worrisome for me. So in the very beginning of the year, I was still, if I was going to sell something, still looking to sell to Fashion File. So why did I get rid of this bag? I loved this bag. I mean, I loved it from the standpoint of that it had so many different ways you could carry it. You could carry it as a shoulder bag with the, longer strap. I can't remember if, again, I'll have to pop up the picture. It's been so long, I can't even remember now. I can't remember if it had a vachetta strap or if it had a monogram strap. And it also had the additional chain strap. So you could carry it on the shoulder with either the whatever strap it was, or you could carry it using the chain strap. You could carry it as a crossbody bag. You could carry it on the crook of your arm with, for example, the chain strap or whatever. It was a super versatile bag. I just think for me, maybe it ended up being a little too much logo. I'm not really sure. Honestly, I just wasn't reaching for it. I think maybe because I had gotten my Celine Romy bag. When I wanted a bag of that size, I guess I generally reached for the Romy bag. And I think because it didn't have any logos on it, I didn't have to think as much about how I styled that bag, right? So if I was wearing any kind of stripes or patterns, I'm generally not gonna wear a logo bag, like a monogram bag like that. So especially with that much, because it was a bigger bag. So anyway, that was the first bag that I sold in 2024. So the next set of bags that I sold were all in my first vlog sale, which if I remember correctly was in, I think, the February time frame. So I have them listed here, so I will go through them. The first bag is the Hermes Mini Evelyne bag. And I love the size of this bag. I really do. I think it is a great size. It's a perfect little mini bag. It, can fit your card holder, your sunglasses, a lippy, your keys, your phone, like just, your basics kind of. Is it the most secure bag in the world? No, I wouldn't take it traveling with me probably because it is, an open top as all Evelynes are. My issue with this bag was the color. And we'll probably get to that with a couple of other bags on this list. Hermes Gold, as much as I love it, and I think it is the most beautiful color, for me, because it's a warmer neutral, it just doesn't work as well in my wardrobe. It just doesn't look as good on my skin tone. I don't think it goes with as much of the clothing that's in my wardrobe. I mean, now, I'm wearing cream cashmere quarter zip here, right? I mean, would it go with this? Of course it would. It was a very neutral bag. Any neutral bag, to be honest with you, would go with cream. But if I was wearing more of like a taupey color, as in a lighter neutral, it wasn't gonna go with that. And I mean, yes, it could go with black. I guess my point is and you'll see a trend here. I just don't think that those warmer neutral bags are ones that I do well with, and I guess it's evidenced by the fact that I essentially got rid of 3 bags that were kind of in that color family. The next bag that I sold during my vlog sale was the YSL, I'm just gonna call it like a flat pouch bag. It's essentially a wristlet, although I had bought off of Amazon, I think, like a conversion insert that you put in it. So you put the insert in, and then I think I ordered, just a random chain, like long, so I could wear a crossbody chain that matched, because it had like an antique kind of gold hardware on it and kind of brushed, I guess, and the chain matched pretty well. I think I got that off of Amazon too. So, it was sort of similar to a wallet on chain, and it honestly held, kind of everything I needed. Like I said, you could put, if I remember correctly, I think there were card slots in it. I'm sorry, it's been a while since obviously I've sold it, and then obviously since I used it, which is why that I sold it. Yeah, I just wasn't reaching for it. It was a beautiful color. It was in that cooler tone, sort of taupey beige color. So color-wise, it was great. I think I bought it, I don't know, thinking I would use it for dressier occasions. And I think the bottom line is I just don't have that many dressy occasions that I go to. And if I do, I'm probably going to carry a black bag. And so that bag honestly just sat in my collection. If I used it once, maybe twice, that's probably a lot, probably more like once. But I love Saint Laurent's pebbled leather. I think it's gorgeous. It's very similar to the Louis Vuitton Caviar. And so for the price, hands down, I think Saint Laurent wins over Chanel if you're going to talk about like a pebbled leather, like a Caviar. So yeah, it was a great bag. I loved the color. It just was sitting idle in my collection because I just didn't have any occasions to use it. And the last 2 bags that I sold during my February vlog sale was the Chanel Diana bag. So there were 2 Chanel bags. The first was my Diana bag. This was in the medium, in the black lambskin. Again, I loved this bag. I think I just have so many black bags in my collection that I just wasn't reaching for it anymore. I think that the Diana is a great alternative to a medium classic flap. So if you, kind of like me, are not into especially the pristine and very, looks like it's brand new kind of classic flap, if you don't like that, a Diana is a great, like I said, a great alternative. And the vintage ones are just fantastic. The leather is amazing. And I guess, like I said, I don't think I sold it for any other reason than I just wasn't really reaching for it with the other black bags in my collection. And the second Chanel bag that I sold during that first vlog sale was my Chanel 19 in the caramel color, caramel, however you want to say it. That originally came out, gosh, was it 21P? And then we had it in 21K, and then I got mine in 22A. I think that's correct. So they came out with this color for 3 seasons because it was so popular. I was actually offered the bag in 21P before it had even released, and I turned it down because it just didn't really look like a color that I would use or be interested in. And then of course I kicked myself when it became like the color of the season and everybody was looking for it. And then of course you couldn't get your hands on it. And then I tried to get it during 21K and I couldn't get it in the small. I was offered a medium, but I really just wanted the small size. So finally, I guess they say 3rd time's a charm, I was able to get it in the 22A collection. And I used it, maybe 2 or 3 times. But again, it just is as really, I do think that the color is pretty. It just, like I said, I just wasn't using it. It just wasn't a color that really worked for me. I had a hard time styling it. And so, yeah, it was time to let that one go. And then the last vlog sale that I had, which was just a couple months ago, maybe September? Was that when it was? End of August, maybe September, sometime in that, I think it was September, that time. And I sold my Fendi Kimon bag. I actually did try to sell my Fendi Kimon bag in my first vlog sale. It didn't sell, so obviously I hung on to it and never used it from the February vlog sale to when I had the next vlog sale. So yeah, it was definitely a piece that needed to go. Again, I think the bag is amazing and I've, raved about it, and I still think it's a great bag, especially if you just like a very low maintenance, easy throw on and go bag. I liked the fact that you could take the strap off and then you could add your own like aftermarket, that sounds like a car, Lisa. your own, other strap that you might have, either putting on a Fendi strap U, which I did when I wore the bag in London and Paris the previous September. So I did use the bag quite a bit after I got it, like through that first fall and probably, early winter or so. And then I just kind of stopped reaching for it. And I think that's because I really, really was gravitating when I wanted a black bag with gold hardware. I was leaning to my Celine Triumph bag, which I still absolutely love. And I did a comparison between those two bags, and they're very, very similar in what they carry, in how you can style them, those kind of things. I just think that I liked the shape a little bit better of the Celine Triumph bag. I think it can be worn a little more dressy than the C'Mon bag. The C'Mon bag, I think, leans a little more casual than the Triumph, although I certainly think you can wear the Triumph casually as well. But I think, comparing the two and having them side by side, and if, you can kind of only have one in your collection, I was gravitating towards the Celine. So that is why I sold the Fendi C'Mon. The next bag I sold in the recent vlog sale was my Celine Romy. And this one was one where I was a little concerned that I might have seller's remorse. Now, so far, so good, and I hope that my lovely subscriber who bought it is loving it. It is the most beautiful bag in the most gorgeous leather. The Romy bag is just, it's smushy and gushy, as I like to say, and just, it molds to the shape of your body. I've just realized since moving to the city that shoulder bags are just not something that I gravitate to. When I am out and about and I'm shopping and running errands or whatever, having a shoulder bag and having to make sure that it stays on your shoulder and, it's not slipping off, and especially if you're trying to carry packages or groceries or anything like that, a shoulder bag isn't the way to go. You really, really want a crossbody. So I wasn't reaching for it, and to have something beautiful sitting on my shelf and not being used when somebody else could love it, like I said, it was time for that to move on. So fingers crossed. I haven't had seller's remorse yet, but you never know, because it was a beautiful bag. And then finally, the last bag I sold during my vlog sale, and I had a whole video on, whether I should sell this bag or not. And I did wait, I think, a good almost 6 months after making that video before finally making the decision to let my Hermes Kelly in the 28 Retorn style go, in the color Gris Meyer. That was a tough decision because, your girl worked for that bag, right? I went through the whole building my profile and, getting my pre-spend and all that through my Denver boutique. And as beautiful as it was, and I love the color Gris Meyer, I think it's just the perfect shade of gray. The Kelly is just not my bag. And you aren't going to know that until you have the bag, which is why I think if you have an opportunity to buy a bag that is a good look for less, I think that's a good way to go, because when you're talking about Hermes quota bags and you're talking about the pre-spend that goes into it and then the cost of the bag, you really want to know that that bag is for you. Now, it doesn't mean that down the line you may fall out of love with it and you want to move it on, but I think that if I had gone through the exercise of buying kind of a look for less and trying it, especially being in the city, I would have known that that wouldn't have worked for me. Now, in all fairness, I purchased that bag while I was still living in Kansas City. And in Kansas City, it probably would have worked much better for my lifestyle, just like my Birkin worked better for me in that lifestyle. Now, the Birkin will never go because that was a gift from David and it has huge, huge memories for me, and that is a forever bag for me. Even though I don't wear it as much as I would like to, although I will say that anytime I take a car ride with David, I take one or the other of my Birkins. So, but yeah, it just wasn't getting used. And to have that much money sitting on the shelf, not getting used, when I could use that money towards something else that I will wear, made a lot more sense. And then the final bag that I've let go of is one that I actually recently gave to my daughter Morgan, and that is my Louis Vuitton Pochette Metis in the monogram, which is the only Pochette Metis that I own. So yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking about the Loop Hobo and then thinking about this, maybe it's Louis Vuitton monogram that I'm not jiving with. I have one other, I'm saying this now and I'm trying to really make sure that I'm saying this correctly. As far as like the classic monogram, the brown monogram canvas pieces, I only have one in my collection now, and that is the Speedy 20 that I got. And I do still really like that bag, and I actually wore it recently. But yeah, I just think, and I was so excited to get that Pochette Metis because it really does work for my lifestyle. I mean, that is the epitome of a throw on and go bag, right? Like, and it's crossbody, it meets all of the requirements, it's got a top handle. I mean, it literally checks all of the boxes for me. But it was just sitting there, and I don't think I wore it one time this year. And the reason why I didn't, I guess, include it in my bags that I haven't worn this year video was because I had given it to Morgan and I hadn't talked about the fact that I had moved it on yet. So yeah, I don't think I had used it this year. And honestly, even last year, which was essentially when I got it, I mean, I got it at the very end of 22. Because I got it when I was still in Kansas City. We were in our temporary housing though, so very end of 22. So, I used it, I think, kind of in the beginning after we moved here, and then just kind of never used it after that. Like I said, I just think that the monogram with my wardrobe, I don't know, it just, I don't really know. It just, she saw it and she liked it. I think maybe one day she was here, she borrowed it and she really, really liked it. And I was just like, you know what, you can have that bag. So yeah, the Pochette Metis, I guess is still in the family, but has moved out of my collection. So that's it. Those are the 9 bags that I have basically sold, with one, like I said, being gifted out of my collection this year, and the reasons why. I would love to know, have you sold any bags this year? Have you given any away? However you've moved them out of your collection, let me know in the comments below why you decided to move that on. Are you having any regrets that you let some of those go, or are you pretty pleased with your decision? If you enjoyed the video, I would love it if you would give it a thumbs up. It does help the algorithm. And if you like this kind of content, I would love to see you back here. Click the subscribe button and the notification bell so you know every time I upload a video. If you haven't seen enough of me yet, there'll be another video over in the corner here for you to watch. And wherever you are, I hope you are having an amazing day or evening. And I'll catch you in the next one. Bye, guys.